And Paul Coro joins us now to tell us what this means for GCU. Paul, right out of the gate, what does this mean for the Lopes and the fan base and the school?
Yeah, just greater exposure obviously is one of the biggest things, and a chance in many of the sports to be in a multi-bid conference. Men's basketball obviously becomes a major focus, and WCC regularly has multi-bid years, and then there's going to be a year when the Lopes join when Washington State and Oregon State are in this 2-year window where they're part of the WCC too. So now you're talking about a 13-member conference that could be really loaded basketball-wise. Just great reputation, obviously, but you get, with the Gonzagas and the St. Mary's and just the name brands up and down the coast, and you have a footprint on the West Coast now that's a little bit tighter, which is good for student athletes, but also great for exposure and those recruiting areas. So many trips to California, which is a major recruiting area, and the television contract where you have, several ESPN and CBS Sports Network games throughout the year.
Well, I think also, Paul, when you look at this, you kind of go, okay, the non-con, once you guys are there, the non-conference schedules you'll have, the looking at the RPI, when you look at the NCAA tournament, if you guys have got 1 or 2, maybe 3 losses, that's going to be a benefactor as far as seeding is concerned. That I look at the long haul from that, how much of a benefactor that will be.
Yeah, I think it changes the ability to schedule well, and in several sports, but obviously it's a focus on basketball. And, everybody, when it comes to scheduling, they're concerned with net because that's what the selection committee is going to look at for their at-large teams. And, GCU's had a great net because it had a 30-win season. And, that's going to be obviously harder to duplicate the greater you make your schedule. But if their conference level is at a higher level with the games they're playing and the ranking of those teams, now they're going to attract non-conference opponents at a higher level because they know the strength of GCU and its schedule and its net to keep other teams' net afloat.
Paul Coro is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. Paul, I'm real curious now, how will that help then in recruiting as far as moving to that conference? And also, since you are going to be matched up against the Gonzagas, the St. Mary's, the USFs, the Santa Clara, etc., what will that be like when you begin with home games in your building?
Oh, yeah. The great thing about GCU is no matter the opponent, it's a sellout every game. Mm-hmm. So all it's going to do for those games is raise the specter of the games even more, the anticipation. Bryce Drew even referred to a college game day maybe coming the first time Gonzaga visits GCU. This is going to be the, outstanding of Washington State and Oregon State being in there for that year.
Yep.
It's going to be the largest venue in the conference. Seattle U plays some of its games at Climate Pledge Arena, but other games on campus in a smaller venue. So it's just the WCC is excited about just the shot of fan energy that GCU's following brings to the conference, for environment for those teams to come in and what they want to show outwardly as a conference, and also for the WCC tournament. And typically WCC has pretty much been a Gonzaga fan dominated event and just a sprinkling of fans from some of the other schools. But the way Lope Nation travels to Las Vegas for WAC tournaments has been proven, and it's only going to rise up even more for the WCC tournament, and that'll create a wild environment when they see Gonzaga there.
Paul, did the WCC seek you guys, or did you seek them?
Yeah, Stu Jackson, the commissioner of the WCC, familiar name, right? Especially a little cringy for Suns fans if they think back to the suspension off the Suns bench. But he moved to the league office for several years and worked in the Big East as an assistant commissioner for basketball, one of the best conferences. And there's been some comparisons about creating a Big East type conference with the WCC on the West Coast. And he said that they started out with dozens of schools a year ago when he came aboard, and they whittled that down to 3 or 4, and Grand Canyon was one of them. And so ultimately, with the footprint they wanted to have, faith-based schools on the West Coast, Seattle U, and GCU became the best fit.
Paul, thanks for jumping on with us. This is great news for the university and as well for you, and we appreciate you carving out some time for us. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. A lot of credit goes to a lot of people on campus that got it to this point.
It's Paul Coro, GCU color analyst, as GCU heading to the WCC with the likes of Gonzaga, Pepperdine, Santa Clara, some really good basketball schools, that's for sure. And I saw that it is 14 of the 21 GCU sports that will make their new home there in the WCC. So good for them. See what the next step would be. It would be pretty cool if the Pac-12 then takes over
Yes.
that conference.
Yes.
And then, ironically, you see GCU is in the Pac-12
GCU
or Pac-10 or whatever
Whatever it's going to be called. Yeah.
timing.